Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stock Market News Recap Show number 2, the second episode ever here, recapping the January 27th week. And I'm happy to be on here once again with you guys. The first video I released last week, you guys gave me incredible support on that. Over 200 thumbs up, which is like ridiculous for a video on my channel. To get over 200 thumbs up in a first week of a video release, that's super rare. That almost never happens on this channel. So you guys obviously are supporting it. It did well over 1,000 views within the first 24 hours, which on this channel, that's a big success. So I'm happy to go into episode number 2. I got the format down now. We'll go through the stock market, how the stock market did this week. We'll go through the biggest stories, which will take up most of the video, go through the biggest stories on that week that I feel were the biggest stories. And then at the end, I'm just going to kind of give you guys a couple things to look forward to in this upcoming week. So that's going to be the format, and that's what we're going to stick with, guys. I'm happy you are really enjoying this, and I'm happy with this new series. Let's see where it goes. Let's get into this, guys. So first off here, how did the markets do this week? The Dow Jones had a very nice week, up almost 1.7%. It's a very nice move for a 1 week total. The NASDAQ did really phenomenal, up almost 2%. And the S&P was the lagger of the bunch, but still up over 1%. So the markets did well overall. It was just a good week. No other way to explain it other than that. If we could have those kind of weeks every single week, we'd all be millionaires before you know it. Anyways, so biggest story this week, by far in my opinion, was the Dow reaching 20,000. Now, why does this even matter? Why does hitting 20,000 even matter? It's no historical number or anything. I mean, it's not a historical number in the sense that maybe we hit it in the past and we haven't hit it since or something like that. It's just a random number, but the fact that we hit over 20,000, I think it's just big in the psychology of people's minds and investors' minds, getting over that hump and going on to the next wave of growth and kind of feeling things out from there. And I don't know why these numbers are important, but they are important. I remember when the market reached a new record high. So basically in 2007, the market reached a record high, and this was a little bit before my time investing. I didn't really start getting into the stock market in 2008 to 2009, but I still tracked the stock market a little bit in 2007. I remember it reached a record high that year of around 14,200. And then what happened, the recession, everything, the markets got slammed. You know, Dow was down to 68, 6,900. It took several years. And then I think it was around 2013, 2014 that the markets finally reached that record high again and broke through. And it was a big psychological barrier in people's minds, investors' minds, to get over that hump and to be like, we're in record highs, we're in record territory, now we can take it up further and whatnot. So I remember that like it was yesterday, and it was a few years ago. And now to be over this 20,000, I think it's just important. I think it just kind of shows that, you know, we can break barriers and we're kind of going upward and upward, guys. And it happened pretty fast. I mean, it seems like the market was just at 18,000 like a month ago. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're over 20,000. So that's the number one story in my opinion this week. Number 2, the U.S. government says GDP rose by 1.9% in the last quarter. And these numbers sometimes can fluctuate a little bit because they usually do revision to them, but it's not like the revisions generally, in my opinion, are like that drastic. 1.9% GDP growth. What does that mean? In the United States, that's good. It's certainly not great, but it's good. Reason it's good, and the reason it's good for the United States, maybe it's not as good in China, maybe it's not as good as India, but you got to understand the United States is already the biggest economy in the world. The United States already has the biggest GDP in the world. If you can just get a 1.9%, rate of return, a GDP growth increase, I guess you could say, if you could run a compound calculator on what our current GDP is, and if we just got that 1.9% for the next 100 years, the numbers are astronomical because the compounding is real. If you've ever done a compounding calculator, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you understand the way compounding numbers works. A 1.9% growth rate is phenomenal. Now, we are, the current administration that just came in, the Trump administration, they're talking about, and like I said, don't get too excited about these numbers because who knows if they'll actually happen, but they're talking about a 3-4% plus GDP type number. If that happened, that would be ridiculous because of how big our economy already is. If we could grow at that type of clip, that would be freaking phenomenal. I'm not expecting that. If we could just get 2% for the rest of my lifetime, I would be freaking happy with that. Honestly, that is a great number. Like I said, if you run the compounding calculator on that, guys, the numbers are astronomical and how much wealth will be increased, how much all our lifestyles will be increased by a GDP growth of 2%, let's say, per year. So right now, I would describe the economy as a good economy, not a great economy, certainly not an average economy. I think it's a good economy right now. And we'll see if we can take it up to the next level over the next few years, hopefully, but we'll just have to wait on that, guys. So that was story number 2. Story number 3, Alphabet, Google, they reported their fourth quarter numbers. Google's one of the biggest companies in the world. I think the second or third biggest market cap in the entire world. I always track Google. Mainly because they're a huge company and they have a lot of things going on. Also, I'm a YouTuber, so I like to pay attention to the parent company of my company. I don't really work for them. I guess I just do work on here and they pay me or whatever through ads. So I kind of like to keep track of it. So they did ridiculous numbers here, guys. Alphabet announced its fourth quarter and fiscal year 2016 numbers. Our growth in the fourth quarter was exceptional, with revenues up 22% year on year and 24% on a constant currency basis. This performance was led by mobile search and Jeremy's financial education YouTube channel, which carried the whole YouTube stratosphere. Okay, now I'm just making up stuff. We're seeing great momentum in Google's newer investment areas and ongoing strong performance in other bets, they call them, which is basically like their hardware. They got the new Google Pixel phone out, which I think is a really strong product that I think Samsung should be scared of. I think Apple should be very scared of Google Pixel, and I think they should be very scared of Google taking hardware phones seriously because they've come out with a really good phone. I've heard estimates that they already sold 1.5 million units in the first quarter it was released. That's freaking great when it's your first ever truly Google branded phone. So I would be very scared if I was Apple, but really, really scared if I was Samsung or any type of other Android competitor. That's something to think about. So 22% revenue growth, 24% on a constant currency basis. That's ridiculous, guys, because this is a company that has a market cap of around $600 billion. To have that type of growth and be at that type of market cap and be the size Google already is, it's just amazing, guys. It's just amazing. And their ad rates are going up. So they're being able to charge people more and more because people are finally seeing I guess you say how cheap it is to YouTube advertise. It is so insanely cheap. I've looked into it for customers and whatnot. You can get clicks on an ad for like 2 cents, 3 cents. It's ridiculously cheap. Those rates are going up. They're going to get more and more expensive for advertisers to pay because more and more are coming online and figuring out how cheap they are. And YouTube's actually lagging ad rates when you compare them to Facebook. So YouTube has a lot of room for growth as far as those numbers going up. So I'm all for that. That just means, my ad revenue is going to continue to go up and go up and go up as long as I get the same amount of views or if, the channel keeps growing and increasing. So I'm all for that. Go ahead, YouTube, increase those ads on the advertisers. And that's what they're doing, and they're getting great numbers out of that. And so they're getting growth from the YouTube, they're getting growth from mobile search, they're getting growth from also the cloud. The cloud's a big thing for Google. It's also a big thing for Microsoft and Amazon as well. So that covers Google's numbers, really phenomenal numbers. Next story up we're talking about here, guys, and this is the last story as far as this past week goes, is Snapchat has now publicly filed or is expected to publicly file for its much anticipated IPO late next week. So this is big time, guys. And it depends, of course, if you're an IPO investor. Personally, I am not an IPO investor. I do not mess with IPOs, mainly because generally speaking, I feel like IPOs are overvalued generally, because who wants to sell out their company for an undervalued price? No one. Who would even want to sell it for a fair price, generally speaking? So generally speaking, IPOs are overvalued. That doesn't mean you can't still make money on them. That doesn't mean they still might not shoot up and whatnot. They absolutely can. But for me, I'm a value investor. I'm a value growth investor. Absolutely, Snapchat has growth. I guarantee you those numbers are probably ridiculous. They've probably grown revenue by 100, 200, 300%. We'll see when the actual prospectus comes out, and I might do a video on that on this channel so you guys can kind of see that. But at the same time, they're probably going to be, they're talking about a $25 billion valuation. That is ridiculous. I'm not saying they don't deserve that. I'm just saying, like, 2-3 years ago, I didn't even know what Snapchat was. Was Snapchat even around more than 3 years ago, guys? I mean, maybe you guys know. I didn't know anybody on Snapchat 2 or 3 years ago, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, not everybody, but a lot of people are on Snapchat, and it just came out of nowhere, and now a $25 billion valuation. Unbelievable, guys. Okay, so what are we looking for in this upcoming week? What am I paying attention to? Well, the government's going to be releasing the monthly job numbers for the month of January, so we'll get to take a look at those and see how more into the economy other than just GDP and how the economy is doing. And then the three beasts are reporting numbers. Apple, Amazon, and Facebook are all reporting numbers this coming week, guys. Three giants in the tech space. Apple, what I'm going to be looking at is, could they just keep iPhones stagnant? Could they just sell as many iPhones as they did the previous year? And you guys know that I was an Apple shareholder. I sold out the last month, and unfortunately it's gone up like 5%. No, my luck, it'll probably shoot up another 10%, and I'll sold another stock early, and I'll be able to make a whole nother video about why I sold another stock too early. But that's what I'll be paying attention to, really paying attention to those iPhone numbers. Also paying attention to any Apple Watch commentary, because Apple Watch, I know a lot of people that got that for Christmas and are really loving that product. So I'm wondering if I always thought the Apple Watch would be a big success, and then I didn't really see the numbers to justify it. And of course, they didn't disclose those numbers, but I didn't really see that in the first model. But it seems like the second model is really picking up numbers. So try to hear any commentary on that. That's what I'm paying attention to with Apple. Amazon numbers, I'm just going to see those to be ridiculous, because I know they're taking huge amounts of market share from every retailer pretty much out there in the stratosphere. They should report amazing numbers. I did like pretty much all my Christmas shopping on Amazon, and I've never done that before. And I mean, it seems like everybody I know is more shopping on Amazon. So their numbers should be great. I'm going to be looking for those numbers. Facebook earnings coming out. Facebook, I'm going to see if that's been the darling of the Wall Street for the last couple of years. Seeing if maybe they can finally slip up, and maybe all of a sudden some metrics can maybe the growth will slow and whatnot. They've kind of had Instagram to keep excuse me, guys. They've kind of had Instagram to keep bumping up those numbers. I'm wondering if Instagram's going to start slowing a bit now, and maybe all of a sudden the worry is going to be, is Facebook user growth slowing a lot? Maybe their revenue is going up, but if their user growth slowing, that means there's a cap on those numbers at some point in time. So that's what I'll be kind of looking at in Facebook. Maybe this Wall Street darling, it's finally come time that maybe it's going to get struck down, but who knows? Maybe it could just keep rolling great. That's what I'm looking forward to the next week, guys. Leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment if you guys are looking forward to anything in the next week. Leave me a comment if you guys have anything to say about any of the 4 or 5 subjects I covered today. If you just came across this video and not subscribed yet, you may want to. We talk personal finance on the channel usually. We usually talk entrepreneurship. I'm a business owner. I give away a lot of my business tips. And we talk the stock market the whole lot on this channel, including this new weekly series I post every single Saturday to recap the last week, to look forward to the next week. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great week.